What's going on, Minnesota Viking fans? Welcome to the garage sale because everything is on fire and we need to get rid of it. And that's the way it would look if you looked on Twitter right now. My name's Kyle Smith. Welcome to the Purple People Podcast. I am joined this week by Adam Carlson.
I am here.
I would ask how you're doing, but we're all pretty bummed out after last night. So,
Well, last night I hung out with my nephew. I got to eat some sushi. That was pretty good.
what
I
kind of sushi?
Spicy crab rolls.
I'm a big fan of eel sauce, spicy
Oh,
shrimp,
that stuff's fantastic.
spicy crab. I like pretty much everything sushi. It's very, very good.
Introduced my nephew to wasabi.
How do you like that?
In small amounts, he digs it. But you can't put too much on a piece, otherwise you're just gonna have a bad time, I think.
It'll ruin everything. I agree. Well, welcome. This is episode 453 of the Purple People Podcast. Another one bites the rush. Dedicating this to Cooper Rush, who came in last night and had himself a hell of a first game.
I thought you were dedicating it to the Vikings pass rush, which did bite the dust in this game.
I wanted the Queen reference. I think a meme inspired that from last week or a week ago, 2 weeks ago, something like that. If you could pick from these artists, who would you go see? It's pretty hard to top wanting to see Freddie Mercury live, but
yeah, I mean, there's a bunch that I would love to see. I mean, younger me, when I was younger, I guess I still wanted to see Chris Cornell. Never got to do it.
Yeah,
that kind of hurt me because his voice is so amazing, and hearing that live would be cool. The energy of a Nirvana concert would probably be sweet, but there's just Prince would have been a lot of fun. David Bowie, good
Prince,
stuff out there.
Tom Petty is probably at the top of my list. I really wish I would have made the effort to go see him. Yeah, there's a lot of good ones. We wish we could go back in time. A lot of those you named were on the list, so it's tough to choose from. But that's why this episode got this name. The Vikings fell to the Cowboys last night. Dak Prescott was not on the field. He was in warmups. From the way he looked, even the announcers were like, we thought he was going to go. Vikings lose 20-16. They go to 3-4 on the year. Before we get into the doom and gloom of this game, because it was bad, they're still very much in the thick of things. I'm trying to find something positive. Last night, I think I was the angriest I've been after any loss of a Vikings game since I became a fan. That's how bad this game was to watch. They did everything that they could to lose this game, and they did. But this is still a salvageable season. Just to go on my little rant to start, I will tell you, along with Kyle West, I have lost my faith in this coach. I just think it's time's passed, and I don't hate him. I do think that the NFL is moving away from what he's doing. And let's take it from a broad spectrum here, and I'll let you jump in, Adam. They held the Cowboys to 20 points, and for the most part, at least the first half, they did a good job. But the offense is just putrid outside of scripted drives.
I put almost zero blame for this game on the defense.
Yep.
I thought that we saw a really good game from Xavier Woods. You could tell he was fired up and wanted to play well. The corners were given a lot of slack, but I think that wasn't on them. I think it was designed that way. Yes. And I believe in the presser, they said that they wanted to make Cooper Rush beat them. And when the first half was over, you'd think they would have made some adjustments, because Cooper Rush is not a donkey, bad accuracy, terrible decision maker. He's not that terrible backup like Minnesota has. He is a capable passer. We saw that in this game. He made some really good throws. He deserves credit for stepping in and playing quite well. He stood in the pocket with pressure around him. He absorbed a couple hits. Honestly, I was impressed with his play. But the way that the Vikings approached this game, coming off a bye, I get that the team was probably looking at tendencies for Dak Prescott heading into this game. But that doesn't mean you can't make adjustments. And when you say, let's make Cooper Rush beat you, and then he comes out and he is beating you, you have to make some adjustments. But when you look at the other side of things, the Vikings defense did do a good job in holding the run. Ezekiel Elliott was held in check for most of the game. I don't think they had a big run all night.
No, I mean they got theirs between him and Pollard. They're going to get some yards on the ground, but there was no explosive run. There was no.
Yeah, they combined for what, 80 yards or so?
Yeah, it was very pedestrian, especially between the both of them, because that's a good 1-2 punch that they have. I think, and maybe I'm wrong here. If Dak's on the field, I call him their best player because he plays the most important position. But if I'm looking at this from a coach's standpoint, and it worked pretty well for the most part, and maybe it would be different if Patrick Peterson was available. I do think he would have had a better impact. But regardless, that's why you have depth and you got to press on. The point I'm trying to make is I would never, in any circumstance, out of 100 times, would I leave CeeDee Lamb and Amari Cooper one-on-one with Bashad Breeland and Cameron Dantzler. I would not do that to them.
And 7.5 yards of separation.
That was my next point. My dad's here. He's probably taking a nap in the next room. I was screaming at the television for how off they were because you're basically inviting a first down damn near every play. You wanted to have help, and they didn't get the help that they need. And those guys need that help. And I'm not talking any crap about them as players. This is where your safeties need to come in and help them a lot. And it was just, we're gonna take away the run. Well, you do that against a team who doesn't have elite wide receiver 1 and 2, and they have elite wide receiver 1 and 2. And it was hard to watch. It really was. And that was with the Dallas Cowboys giving penalties up, dropping some key balls. It was tough to watch. It really was. And I feel bad for the defense because they made a formidable effort yesterday. You lose your best player on defense, which he's probably out for the year, it looks like.
He very well could be.
Just a bad day. Not a good rundown. But let's do this. Let's just get it out of the way now. I think we're all consensus here. Xavier Woods, game ball.
Sounds good to me.
Yeah, he was probably the bright spot there. I didn't see too much on offense that was exciting.
Thielen played pretty well. Can't really complain with what he did. Brian O'Neill did well. I believe Darisaw gave up his first sack this game. Otherwise, he still did pretty well.
For that sack that he gave up, I did see some plays where he was just running amok and doing his thing. So it's going to happen. He's a rookie. He's not going to be.
Yeah, I'm not mad at him.
The interior line, let's start there, though. The tackles did pretty well. Gave up 1 sack, I believe. I got the stats here. I should probably bring that up. So the Cowboys got 1 sack.
When the announcers point out Garrett Bradbury, and they say that he gets bullied by bigger defensive tackles, that's not a good sign.
It's not. The interior line, specifically the center and the right guard, didn't have a great night. It was tough, but you knew that. You knew that going into the game. This isn't the Cowboys of last year or the year before where the defense was kind of a laughingstock. This defense very improved because they got defensive guru, Dan Quinn, formerly of the Seahawks and the Atlanta Falcons. He's there to fix things, and he's doing a good job so far. And let's be honest, too. Mike McCarthy playing this team, I call it a coin flip, unless the team is just they don't have any talent. This team has tons of talent. He's played Mike Zimmer forever. So,
well, look at it this way. The Vikings, they lost Danielle Hunter during the game. Michael Pierce was not available.
Mm-hmm.
You had Patrick Peterson on IR. I mean, those are 3 very, very talented players that weren't in this game on defense. And they still held the Cowboys to 2 touchdowns and 3 field goal attempts.
Yep.
23 points in the Vikings offense. Delvin Cook, Justin Jefferson, Adam Thielen. Kirk Cousins is a capable quarterback. That combination, along with an offensive line that hasn't been looking terrible lately.
They've been every bit of middle of the road, and that's exactly what you wanted to see compared to years past. They are serviceable. They are average. They are not below average. So it's in the right direction.
They can't put points on the board. They can't convert third downs. They picked up 1 third down in this game, and it came on the first drive of the game. Yep. That's absolutely disgusting. The number of passes in this game that were 3rd and 8 and got thrown either behind the line of scrimmage or 2 yards. What's the problem here? Minnesota opened this game attacking the Cowboys' defensive backs, throwing the ball down the field, and they were having great success. They were getting penalties. They were getting some big plays. Conklin had a nice grab. They missed Jefferson on a nice long pass. Like I said, they got some penalties. What happened to that strategy? How come outside of that scripted first drive, they didn't keep testing those defensive backs? What happened? And why would you adjust your game plan to play into the strengths of the Cowboys, who have a speedy defense? They're good tacklers. Why would you want to put everything in front of them?
It was really tough because Kirk's going to play like we've seen many times. He's going to play to avoid the mistakes. I think he is a very much a more elevated version of Bridgewater in the sense that he's not going to do those boneheaded plays. He might have one or two a year.
That's not to say he won't take some chances, though, or throw up some one-on-one balls.
Not at all. He usually takes what the defense gives him, but I think that, and call me wrong on this. Feel free, anybody in the chat, Adam, go ahead. But I feel like this offense played scared last night, and it starts with Kirk because the stat comes out, and I'm not just a total look at the stat that tells the whole game kind of guy, but I think Kirk. Let me look up here. Kirk had 35 attempts. I think they said 11 of those were over 10 yards. That was it.
Well, I'm not sure how much of that was on Kirk and not the coaching staff saying to play conservatively, take what's in front of you, because there were opportunities where he had players deeper and chose the shorter routes. Maybe they thought, well, we got Cooper Rush out here. If we play conservatively, we can just hold on, not make mistakes. And it's not like the Vikings defense wasn't giving the offense more opportunities. They had takeaways. They could have had some more takeaways because I believe it dropped, what was it, 2 dropped interceptions?
Breeland could have had the one that fell into Amari Cooper's lap too. That was
so Minnesota got takeaways. The punter was 41 yards short of outgaining the offense.
Oh, that's so sad. That's so gross.
The more I think about this game, the madder I get, because it's not like this team doesn't have talent. They've got players at multiple positions, and they always play down to their opposition or play up to their opposition. No matter what it is, they seem to match the intensity of the other team. And it's not that the Cowboys are a bad team, but this Minnesota Vikings team, and at home, where the crowd seemed to be more Cowboys than Vikings for some reason, I don't understand what really happened in this game, why coaching adjustments weren't made, why more chances weren't made. And like I said, it's not on the defense, although they could have done some things schematically different, like not give 8 yards of separation to top receivers that are great route runners. They could have done that. But where was the preparation? It's coming off a bye. This is what you came out with?
It's disgusting. And this is, I'm not taking away anything that you said, Adam, because it's all accurate. It's how I feel exactly. But Twitter is annihilating this coaching staff right now. And, sometimes after a kicker misses a field goal, you challenge some things or, the clock management, which is what we're going to get into here in a second. I see that. But this out right here, I blame this 110% on the coaches. I know the players have the talent to do what they could execute. But the game plan here, after getting Cook back and healthy, he wasn't even on the injury report this week. You kind of could read about by Thursday, hey, cool, this is not going to be a Dak week. They're going to rest him. They don't need this game, blah, blah, blah. You get another primetime stinker. And this is, how many times have we had this conversation? That's what Twitter is going to go to now, and they're going to start saying until it happens. I don't think that the Wilfs are going to fire Mike Zimmer midseason unless this team just completely gets tanked like the next 4 or 5 games. Maybe they would. But I think, and I mean this, it's like I said it in our chat here for the Purple People podcast between myself and Adam and Kyle. This feels like a breakup when you know it's over. I love Mike Zimmer to death. He's one of my favorite coaches the Vikings have ever had, but I just don't see the formula of how he does it. And I'm not saying what he does is terrible. The defense does have a good mark, but I don't think that's the way you win football games anymore. By grinding it down and winning 20-17 every game. That's just not how it happens. And the offense last night, don't even worry about what the defense I was talking about. The offense last night was horrible. And look at the stats too. You saw that stat, right, Adam, at the beginning of the game. The Vikings in the first quarter are like top 5 in the league. They're going to go down and score on the first drive. And then as the game goes on, they progressively get worse and they can't keep up. And that's on the offensive coordinator. I don't know what to tell you there.
If you're scripting opening drives, why is the rest of your game plan not similar to that opening drive that you engineered specifically for this game? Why do you change things up so much? Make the Cowboys change. Make them pull their players back to protect against that pass. Then hit them with Dalvin Cook. You can pass to open up the run. I know Mike Zimmer's old school and he loves to establish the run and then play action pass. I get it. But this is the NFL. There's more than one way to win a game. And you've seen it with a lot of teams that use the pass to open up the run.
I also don't like
frustrating
from the offensive side and Kirk Cousins. I'm not here to poo-poo on Kirk Cousins. I'm pretty over Cousins as well, but we're stuck with him. He's going to be here next year too, unless somebody wants to eat that salary. And I don't think anybody does. And it's not because he's terrible. He just hasn't shown. He hasn't had that like MVP season where it's like, oh God, we can move off him now. We can do that. He's not going to have that. But I don't like it when the fullback gets more targets than your number one wide receiver. I hate it. I hate that so much. And I love CJ Ham. I know Adam does. I know all of you in the comments do. But there was no aggression last night to attack. And, you know, this sounds really cheesy. And I was thinking about it earlier while you were speaking. I didn't want to interrupt and say it's really frustrating because I thought this is kind of a cliche thing that you've heard over the years, especially me being, I don't say a relatively newer fan now, but sort of newer, is they say about mentality. And it starts at the top and blah, blah, blah. This is a business. This is an organization. They employ people. They just happen to have a lot more money than most of us. The mentality of a team like this versus a Tampa Bay or a Green Bay or a Los Angeles Rams are night and day different. And I think that goes a long way because think about this. And this is the woulda, shoulda game that I can't stand. If they win in overtime against Cincy or they beat Arizona, or for some odd reason they win last night, think about how much of a difference the attitude. Don't even think about the win and the loss there. Think about the attitude of the whole entire team and the fan base right now. Because right now, it feels like you're holding the floodgates back from it all falling apart.
Right.
It's terrible.
And I like you said earlier, I like Mike Zimmer. I really do. I was so excited that he came to Minnesota because I loved what he could do with an offense. I wasn't sure how he'd handle our defensive. I didn't know how he'd handle the offensive side of things, but when he got paired with a well-established offensive coordinator, I felt like he did quite well. But I hate to say this because it sounds like I'm talking about Leslie Frazier again, but Mike Zimmer might just be a defensive coordinator.
Yeah, I don't think there's any doubt about that. I think, as I've said 100 times on the show, this will be 101. Take the Colin Cowherd method. Take their best season, 13-3. Take their worst, which is 7-9. Eliminate it. What do you have? I have an 8-8 to 9-7 football team every year. Some years you make the playoffs, some years you don't. You might get lucky on a miracle play on a whiff, or you might have that one game where you're like, holy shit, man, everything we planned for was right and we coached really good. But I can't think on more than 5 fingers of signature wins in 8 years that this team has had. And I hate to be that dude because it's like every year, if you haven't won the Super Bowl, you should be pissed. So 31 other cities should be mad. But it just feels like this team has been treading water for so long and they haven't made any strides. Like, look at Buffalo. When the Mike Zimmer era started, they got beat by Kyle Orton in one of their first games. One of my favorite memories. I was like, Jesus, he's still in the league, right? You find a quarterback, you get him in the first round in Bridgewater, you build him with Adrian Peterson. We end up getting Diggs later, and things start to build. You go forward. The Bills were a laughingstock. And within a matter of 3 to 4 years, they're the odds favorite to win the Super Bowl. I just don't know how this team gets there, but I don't feel the faith anymore with this head coach. The offensive coordinator leaves me very, very dazed and confused. And it's just going to be a fire sale from there. This is 4 people. I don't know. Maybe the only one here I feel kind of confident in maybe later is Kubiak from what he does with the scripted drives. But Zimmer, Cousins, and Spielman, what else do we need to see? That's my question. If you don't think if you think I'm being too crazy there, tell me what I need to see, because what I've seen over the years now, it's just not it. I know they don't win any big games. And let's talk about that too. Playing to the level of your competition. Holy crap, man. Did you watch the Rams play to Houston yesterday? It was embarrassing. There was not a chance Houston was going to win that game. And they're going to
see the Eagles play the Lions?
I didn't think it was going to be that bad.
A lot of people picked the Lions to win this week.
Yeah,
That was a
yeah.
popular pick among a lot of
Yeah.
experts, and guess
Thank,
what?
thank God I
Wasn't
didn't
even
go with
close.
that. Thank God I didn't pick that. But I want you guys too. I see like 7 people watching right now. Get in and tell us your takes, man. If you think this is the time, let us know. If you want to defend Zimmer or Kubiak or Spielman, whatever. I don't want to be that dude because it's all over Twitter. Everybody is super angry, and I'm one of those guys that was very, very emotional last night. But the thing is, if this was the Jets or we were the Lions, I wouldn't put us up to win 2 games this year. I'm like, whatever, probably not. This team has been in every single game, but they just keep making the same mistakes over and over again. Like, how many times have we said Zimmer's clock management is absolute dog shit? The guy forgot that he called a timeout last night and had a penalty on top of calling another one. Dude, you've been in the league for 40-something years.
And then
You
we got
to be better
Kirk
than
Cousins trying to make a drive with time expiring, and the clock just expires, leaving a timeout on the board.
Aaron Rodgers takes that timeout. Tom Brady takes that timeout.
Ridiculous.
Kirk is getting, and I'm sorry, man. I know Kirk's not like a lethal quarterback. He's out there to take people's heads, make head roll. But dude, you're getting paid like $45 million a year next year, like 30, whatever it is this year. You gotta be like, hey, look, I'll take the ass tune from the coach later. This is when it just sitting there and saying that. And he kind of threw him under the bus in the press conference. So did Xavier Woods. I don't know. What do you do to fix this? Because what it feels like now, and this is going on 2 seasons straight, it's just another missed opportunity and another excuse again and again and again. Same old song and dance. And I hate it. I like you said earlier, I've said it too. I love what Mike Zimmer brought to the table, but I think he is very razor thin, very close to having his exit at the end of the season.
Now, do you feel it's just him, or do you feel it's Spielman?
He's got to go too. I think from everything that I've heard, and you're better at this than I am. I give you all the credit in the world with that. You know more sources than I do, but everything that I see online and every show that I hear about, they're handcuffed. So if one's gone, the other is too. And I don't feel like it's kind of like the quarterback thing too.
You just kind of feel like it's a house cleaning.
Oh, absolutely.
If it happens.
And that's the thing that makes me the most bummed out about liking this team and watching this sport. Because if this happens, the writing's on the wall, this is going to happen. I don't see how they're going to pull off a win in Baltimore, in LA, against Green Bay. You got to go to LA and play the Rams. The 49ers are still tough. The Bears always have our number too, even though they're playing like shit this year. Who knows? But it's all going to be tough, right? Unless they pull a miracle around right now and win 6 or 7 straight. I think Zimmer and Spielman are gone. And it's going to be like you would with a rookie. You're gonna give Cousins that extra year because, hey, let's be real. Immediately, are you going to be able to upgrade? Probably not. And there's not going to be any good quarterbacks in this draft coming out.
Well, right now the Vikings still have to test what they have in Mond because they did invest in him.
Yeah, I think fans, you can call it here now. It's November 1st, 2021. You're not going to like what you see when he gets on the field. I'm going to call it right now, but. If it gets that bad this season, which it looks like it might, this might be a 6-win team this year. Get ready.
Yeah,
you might get
I think the Vikings would be lucky to get over 500 this year. They'd be extremely lucky.
Based on the way they're playing now, yes. And I don't know what it would take if they just need to go say open space here. Let me listen to you. I don't think Zimmer would ever do that because he's been in the game too long, but open field, a blank state. Let's talk about what we do. What do you guys want to do? What do you guys feel like would be the winning formula? Help me help you kind of deal. I don't know how they're going to beat all these teams because that schedule is brutal.
It's bad.
It's hard. And even the Steelers, we play the Steelers later. I think they're in Minnesota. That's no walk in the park. That defense is just crazy.
Well, let's take a look at some of these Vikings games coming up because it's not looking good. Mm-hmm. I don't see a way they get past Baltimore.
You know what? They have a lot of injuries, and I think it'll be much like this Dallas game. I think it'll be low scoring, but I don't know how you like contain. Of
course, it's gonna be low scoring. Minnesota can't put points on the board.
Touche. Overall, I would say it would be low scoring, but I think how do you contain that quarterback, man? He's a freak. He's so fast. Like look at last night. We don't have a lot of fast players on defense. They're all getting a little older. Anthony Barr looks like a shell of himself. He gave up what would be the play that won the game if it wasn't for Dantzler giving up the actual touchdown. I
And the
thought Dancer had a
Chargers have
decent
more
game.
weapons than the Cowboys do.
Dude, I'm going to that game and I don't want to go. I physically don't want to go. I want to see the stadium. I want to hang out with my brother, but they are going to get the crap kicked out of them that game.
Whatever the spread is in the Vikings-Packers game, I'm betting on the Packers with the spread.
Yeah.
And I hate saying that.
Well, you hate saying it, but what has this team shown you this year? They've shown you that they're going to fumble it when it counts the most. They're going to lose it. They're going to fumble it. They're going to turn it over. They're not going to execute the play to win. That's what they've done. And I don't think this is the players' fault. I think the players are playing hard. I think it's a little outdated what they're doing.
See, I'm not there with you, Jerome. I'm not the kind of guy who I'll never root for the Vikings to lose a game. Sure, I understand if they do, but the way this team is playing right now, they aren't going to get a lot more wins, and they're going to get a decent draft pick. And I don't know. I haven't taken a good look at the quarterbacks coming up in this draft.
Mm-mm.
But, I mean,
they're not good.
They got to do something.
I think that works in their favor, though. I think they're going to get a top 10 pick this year in this coming up draft. And I think they should not go after a quarterback unless it's in the free agent market and it's a superstar. And I don't think that's going to happen because you're married to Kirk Cousins. So what you should do is go to the board and trust me, it's like Swiss
trade
cheese.
Him to Houston for Watson?
No. Ugh. No. I think I love Deshaun Watson as a player, but after all that, you can't. That's just a stain you don't ever want associated with the team. God, that's bad. I think you just go to the board, look at all the Swiss cheese holes, because there's plenty of holes to fill. Then you say, what is the biggest varying need out of all these positions? And you attack that. Or if one falls in your lap, let's say they said, hey, you know what? We need a corner most of all. We need a linebacker second. Well, if a safety falls to you, that's like a generational safety. Obviously, you take him. But don't take a quarterback. The quarterbacks in this draft are not good.
And honestly, I don't mind Cousins being around for another year. I don't think
Cousins
want him,
is the
major problem, but I want a coaching staff that won't be afraid to let him sling the football around.
Yep.
Take some chances. I understand you don't want to turn the ball over. And Mike Zimmer, the way his offense is always set is don't make mistakes, play to I don't know. I even hate saying it. I don't want to say that they should just be absolutely conservative, move the ball, pick up the chains, eat the clock. But that's really what it seems like the plan is. And you don't win games that way. You win games by attacking.
There's been very few championship level games, and I'm talking like divisional round, championship games, Super Bowls, where the team won because they just barely held on. Look at Atlanta. Look what Atlanta did a couple years ago. They tried to hang on, and it bit them in the ass in probably the worst fashion I've ever seen in the history of that league. You can't do it. That's to your point. It's exactly it. I don't like to add on to what you said about Cousins. I don't want him here anymore. I think I've seen what he is. Do I think he's better than about 10 other quarterbacks in the league? Yeah, I think so. And you know what?
I'm good with Cousins through this year and next.
Yeah, that's another one. Vikings Jerome Oliota back-to-back penalties. They come at the worst times too. They always do. Yeah. I'll tell you what, the Cowboys tried to give this game away.
They did?
They really did. And guess what? The referees are usually not on our side. They gave away, I think, at least in my opinion, they gave us one or two calls last night too. And that game stayed interesting with a little help from the refs, which we usually don't get.
Do you remember when the biggest problem for the Vikings was their kicker?
Oh,
I missed that.
Yeah. I miss when the defense was like top 5 and it was just like, well, we know we're going to hold them to 20 points. Let's see if, whatever running back is going to run for 100 yards today. We'll go down the list here. I'm not going to talk about a bunch of stats because I just don't want to talk about it. But shout out to Cooper Rush, the backup for Dallas. He had a great game yesterday. 325 yards, 2 touchdowns. Ezekiel Elliott and Tony Pollard didn't really do much, 50 and 26 respectively. No rushing touchdowns. For us, Dalvin Cook had 78 yards. There were no rushing touchdowns. Thielen scored on the first drive. He had 78 yards. Conklin was the next leading receiver there at 57 yards with 5 catches.
How many completions did Kirk have, and how many total yards?
23 completions, total yards, 184.
And there were some big plays there. How many yards was Conklin's longest catch?
Conklin's longest was 31. That was an epic catch.
And then you got Thielen had a kind of longer one, right? 20-something?
32.
32?
Mm-hmm.
So when you look at those two passes, and if you take those two out, that average just drops to almost nothing.
32 and 31. So that's 63 yards out of 184.
Ridiculous.
Ooh. Yeah. I'm looking here. Here it is. Here's that stat that one thing that I've picked up. Just if you sat me in a room as a statue and I would listen, this is what I've learned from Adam over the years. When your safety is your leading tackler and your next leading tackler is your other safety, it is not a good
keep
day.
Going down the list too. I believe it's corners, and then Danielle Hunter, who left the game around halftime-ish.
Harrison Smith, 9. Xavier Woods, 8. Cameron Dantzler, Bashad Breeland, 7. Eric Kendricks, Anthony Barr, 6. Danielle Hunter, 5.
Where's the defensive lineman?
Dalvin Tomlinson, 3. Armon Watts, 3. Sheldon Richardson, 3.
It's bad. Ugh. That is bad.
It's so bad.
And it's all because they let the Cowboys offense just control the flow of the game. Cowboys had the ball about 5 minutes longer than Minnesota did. The 3 notes, the failure to convert third downs, it was all just, I don't know how. If I'm Mike Zimmer and I'm heading into that Vikings locker room for the first practice after this game, I don't know how to approach it. I have no idea. Do I take accountability for this? For not preparing the team properly? Do I blame the players for not executing whatever the game plan was?
That game
plan
Do I
punish them?
That game plan was so bad they still played very well and almost won. Sorry guys. I was looking at the stat sheet here. I got some people in the chat. Marcus Harrison. I don't think I've seen your name before in here, Marcus. Maybe I'm wrong, but welcome. We are glad to have you here. Lee is back.
Yeah.
Becky Jerome says the punter's a stud. Yeah, Jordan Berry's a beast. He's a beast.
Thomas Buse, I agree with him that Kirk isn't really the major problem here.
Right. Lee Mott, what happened when I went to sleep at 2 a.m. UK time? We were ahead, woke up, we lost. Yeah, it was bad, Lee. So this is the general rundown of the game. The corners were playing about 8 yards off. They were playing man a lot of the time. They were loading up the box. They want to stop the run. They stopped the run. The run was stopped. I'm looking up here at the stats. Total rushing yards from Dallas, 78. Leading rusher, Ezekiel Elliott, 16 carries for 50 yards. So they did the job. But
yeah, here's the rundown for you. Vikings touchdown, punt, 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 field goal, punt, punt, field goal, punt, 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 punt.
That's it. It was tough, man. It was really
turnover
tough.
And downs at the end. I got to add that.
Back-to-back timeouts, which you can't do. So there's a penalty there. That was frustrating.
Now they had to use the timeout because they had 12 men on the field, right?
Yes, that did happen too.
Because at first they announced it as a delay of game, and I'll be honest, I didn't know that a defense could have a delay of game.
Correct.
So that was something new. Something else I learned during this game. Apparently, 2 personal fouls is not an ejection anymore.
Who had 2 personal fouls?
Randy Gregory.
Yeah, he was. I'll give it to him. They were questionable. I think at least one of those could be given.
But I thought that was an NFL rule that 2 personal fouls and you're gone.
Yes. Maybe it's the type of personal foul. We have levels. I don't know.
So I did learn some stuff during this game.
Marcus, thank you for that. We really appreciate it. He says he's a long-time listener. We usually watch after the stream. Well, I'm glad you get to get in here and do it live, man. This is absolutely it's a lot more fun when you guys can chime in real time.
We've even got somebody quietly watching over on Twitch right now. So shout out to you over there, whoever's lurking.
What's up, Twitch? Let us know you're not a bot. Thomas, yeah, I feel you, man. You had time to get healthy, especially coming off that. I was there at that Carolina game. It was fun. That was a walk-off touchdown. Now they are seemingly turning into who we thought they were, a really bad team. But
Do
I
we
don't
feel
know.
different about this game if that one missed opportunity with Justin Jefferson on that streak, if that's a catch and ran for a touchdown, are we having this conversation right now?
If we beat them last night, I think we would feel good and still have hope. But I think what the inevitable thing that we're not looking at now, because it hasn't happened yet, is you're going to get your PP smacked really hard in these next 3 games.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're going to be able to outdo anything these next 3 teams are coming up. And I don't mean that just to be negative. I think these are generally and genuinely better teams all around. And I don't know. Maybe the Vikings can. Maybe they'll just play completely different. But their formula right now is there's no way you're going to beat these teams. Nope. And
No.
for all intents and purposes, the defense went from like 28th last year. They're hovering about 19 or 20 right now. Sacks, yeah, they got some more sacks yesterday, but Danielle Hunter's out, so we'll see how that goes. But they're right back to about average, so it's not really been too bad because they've held a lot of good teams to low-scoring games. This offense, it's completely done a 180 from last year. Was this offense like top 5, scoring 30 points a game last year?
And they opened the season looking good. The offense looked like they could score some points. And then the defense started getting bad. And we were like, oh, no, the defense can't hold anybody. And now the defense is holding teams to points and the offense can't put points on the board again.
Oh, yeah.
Meanwhile, special teams is over here. And they're trying to do their best because at one point they were the problem.
Yeah, they were excellent yesterday. Absolutely excellent. What
Usually,
a roller
if you can win
coaster.
2 phases of a game, you got a good chance of winning. But that offense was so dog dookie that it just
What a roller coaster it is to be a fan of this team.
And this is the performance that the Vikings put on in prime time, to where every national outlet, every casual fan is going to say they are terrible.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't a fan of the Minnesota Vikings watching this game, you probably went and did something else.
And I hate to use this stat because it's a team stat again, but this is another game where Kirk Cousins in primetime looks like shit. It is what it is, man. I don't know. I don't know what to say. This is not in any way directed this whole episode towards Kirk because I'm blaming the management for this one, but it's just one of those things where if that's what people want to hold over your head as a Viking fan and over his head for what he's getting paid and what he's doing, it's another tick on the wall. It says not elite.
The game plan was terrible.
Overpaid. This.
The execution of whatever game plan that was, from what it sounds like, from all the press conferences and everything, it sounds like the players were executing what they were told to do.
Yeah.
It just sounds like the game plan coming off that bye was absolutely terrible. Now, they did say that the game plan coming in was to have Cooper Rush beat them. And boy, he did. He did.
Yeah.
Major props to I'll say young man, but I think he's been in the NFL for 3-4 years now.
He's been in for a little while, but that was his first start, and yeah, he executed well. All the backups yesterday did great. A former Viking had a great win against the Super Bowl champs. Some kid I've never heard of in my life ever beat the
A lot of
Bengals,
Vikings backups were playing this week.
Yeah. The Jets kid ended up winning a game against the Bengals, and I think it was in Cincinnati too. I want to say it was.
Oh, I don't hate that idea, Thomas.
Yeah, Thomas Bugge. Let's talk about it. If I were the Wilfs, I would have to let Zimmer walk and put Andre Patterson as interim, and Kubiak would run without much oversight, play out the season and do over. The problem with that is they've never really been known to do that, and I think by the time this happens, if it does, it's going to be too late. Because right now, you're 1 game below 500. You have a lot of games left. If you go in right now and you're like, hey, you're done. I'm sorry. We appreciate what you did. We love the miracle, the overtime win in the Saints. You brought the defense back for a couple of years, but we're going to let Andre come in and do this.
At what record would you make this happen?
What's that?
1 more loss, 2 more losses, 3 more losses?
I don't know if there's a finite number or exact date or record I would do. It just, if you keep losing games like this, how many more of these before you have to step in?
The Wilf family has done a lot for this organization. They've spent a lot of money. They've put a lot of effort into building an organization, establishing themselves in Minnesota, and setting this franchise up for success. Now, the Wilf family cannot be happy with what this team is doing on the field because, as you saw, Vikings fans aren't packing that stadium. You're not going to sell Vikings merchandise to Dallas Cowboy fans at US Bank Stadium.
Well, I hate to be that guy, but I'm taking this from Vikes Insider on Instagram, but this is not official anywhere. Danielle Hunter is officially out for the rest of the season due to a shoulder injury.
We knew it was coming.
And that brings you to another point. Now that we can just get pissed and be just pessimistic as all get out. The Los Angeles Rams got a 8-time Pro Bowler today in an aggressive trade. They are literally giving away every stock they have and every form of currency they have to go win a championship. And the Vikings need a pass rusher now because DJ Wanham ain't it. Griffin looks fine, but now he's got to play every snap, which is not what he was brought in to do. So
a torn pec. So what do you think this does for Danielle Hunter's future in Minnesota?
They're going to offer him a contract, not the number he wants, and he's probably going to walk.
That's what I'm seeing too. That's why I wanted Minnesota to look at a pass rusher in this draft.
I said it from the beginning. I wanted Kwity Paye. Now,
I'm not upset with Darrisaw. Darrisaw's playing well.
Not at all. I will eat those words because I think Kwity Paye got injured and he plays for the Colts, which is really sad. But this is, they need an elite pass rusher, and I think with the way they're playing and what it's projected based off of right now, they have a good chance to go get a really good one in the draft. But it's not going to be fun for how many games do we have now? 3 and 4. We're 7 in out of 17. We got 10 more games.
Are you ready to do this for 10 more games?
Oh, I'm not ready to do this for 2 more games. It's tough to watch. Sorry, guys.
I'm just sitting here. I'm scrolling ranting. Twitter a bit, and this is just ugly. I have my entire timeline, and boy, these Vikings fans, they are not taking any of this well.
Marcus, you missed. We said this earlier, but we have to talk about it again. This is the thing that I feared the most, based on your comment here. Time to step up or set up the rebuild without Spielman, without Zimmer, Spielman. They're going to be handcuffed together. I firmly believe if one goes, the other does too. But where the chances of them coming in immediately and having a Matt LaFleur effect and turning it around when you don't have an Aaron Rodgers, I'm not ready to go through another 3 or 4 years of hope and almost. Because when you're a good team that hasn't figured it out with young players, you're like, man, we almost had that game. I can see the potential. We have a ton of all-stars on this team, and it's just confusion everywhere. And I'm like, oh no, hold it together. Stop the bleeding. Just figure it out, please. And then you're on the downhill, and you don't ever want to be on the downhill. And that's exactly the way it feels, or in my chair, that this team is headed. So I don't want to go through a rebuild.
Do you want to hear a great Everson Griffin quote?
Yes.
Here's the quote. "The tunnel is still bright, for real. If we go out here and win these next 10, we'll be 13-4.
If you win 10 in a row, you'll be 13-4. God bless you, Everson. You're a fucking gem. You are.
Oh, God. After that game, to even have the thought of winning 10 in a row.
Here's a great one. Well, shout out to my buddy David, too, diehard Vikings fan. We need a young offensive-minded coach. Yes, I agree, but everybody wants that, so I don't know who's going to do it. I think you need the weapons to do that, too, which leads me to this comment, because if Kyle West was here, he'd be having some opinions.
Yeah, he's more fired up than either of us, so it's kind of sad that he couldn't be on here because of work obligations, but
I'm gonna read all fired up. I'm going to read you guys what he said. It was good. Thomas Buge asked, do you build up with the team as is now, or do you shop your pieces? Honestly, I'd probably be trying to collect draft capital.
I'd be shipping out my older players.
Yeah.
Trade deadline's coming up. Who needs a Harrison Smith?
Yeah.
Who needs an Adam Thielen? And let's talk about Thielen for a second, because his agent is not happy.
Yeah, we saw that last night, and I actually tweeted at him today because I wanted him to say something, but he hasn't yet. He tried to suave his way into the Pat McAfee show, which is funny. Good for him for promoting that, but he's like, I'm going to be clear about it tomorrow. He hasn't said a thing today. So
Yeah,
I
he
think
represents Thielen and Ham and a couple other Minnesota Vikings players. And honestly, I don't blame him for being upset with how some of his players are being used in Minnesota and how they could be making him a lot more money somewhere else. Because let's be honest, Adam Thielen took a discount to stay in Minnesota. Any other team would be paying him more.
And I just want to point this out. It has nothing to do for the fact that he's a white boy, but I wanted to look at the Rams and look what Cooper Kupp's doing because they're very similar players. I think Cooper's a little younger, a little more athletic, but Adam Thielen's still very much a top 10, top 20 wide receiver.
Now, we also do have to look at some of the bad things for this offense because I don't know how much having Irv Smith at tight end would help this team at this moment. Is he that much of a game changer for an offense?
He's a nice piece, but he's not a game changer. Not at all. Look at the catch Conklin made yesterday. Dude, he's a backup tight end.
And they're what was his name? Ellison, the blocker who went on IR, the tight end.
Yeah.
Are they struggling with blocking now, or how come we saw so many sets on offense with two tight ends out there instead of having KJ Wright running routes? Are they not trusting the receivers? Westbrook, I don't believe, played this week.
I don't think so.
So where was Osborne on some of these plays?
I didn't see either. And he's going to have to fight his way up the ladder too. But the rookie running back, other than kickoffs, I wanted to see that kid in there.
I didn't think he was going to get any action on offense. So that really didn't surprise me too much.
I'm going to read to you guys real quick what Kyle West said because I want his point to be out there. And I think what he said vocalizes a lot of what you feel. But Kyle West says, and I quote, "My general thought is that this is the exact kind of game that gets a coach fired. Vikings had 2 weeks to prepare for this team, and after all the self-evaluation and scouting, they still managed to take a loss to a Dak Prescott-less Cowboys. And the quarterback Minnesota did face wasn't that good. Now that we can debate.
Yeah,
he played good well last night. I don't know that he's consistently a starter somewhere, but he did play good last night.
He did say that he's going to make Matt Flynn money after that win, and guess what? He probably could.
He probably could. It's another game in which the opposing team tried its hardest to hand the game to Minnesota, and this team refused to flat out win, which is what I said earlier. 100% agree. Kyle West is firmly in camp. #fire Zimmer. And I think this entire team need a firm reset. Here's a spicy take that I love. And it's not because I necessarily want to say this, and I totally agree. I just love that Kyle West doesn't care and he's not filtered. Kirk is a selfish player who is not a leader. It's time to move on from him. Needs to build its identity around Justin Jefferson before it's too late, and they would be wise to start moving pieces like Dalvin Cook for the inevitable rebuild. Also, wrapping this up, doomsday scenario here is they fire Mike Zimmer, but they keep Rick Spielman. That's like trying to make a different cake with the same 5 ingredients. No matter how you mix it up, you're still going to get your same cake. They need a complete philosophical change from top to bottom, and that is his rant.
Pro Football Focus Fantasy just posted something up. Trayvon Diggs in coverage against Justin Jefferson, 1 catch, 3 yards. Now, is that fair? I don't know, because I believe Jefferson drew a really nice pass interference penalty on Diggs.
Twice.
And made him look pretty pedestrian in those. But just looking at the stat line, now with Pro Football Focus Fantasy Football tweeting that out, verified account, people are going to think that Diggs absolutely shut down Justin Jefferson. Heck, they put the little lock logo thing next to the catch in the yards. So, yeah, why wouldn't people think that Diggs just absolutely manhandled him? But
context, people.
How many passes were thrown when Jefferson was in coverage from Diggs? Because Diggs wasn't just playing Jefferson all game. He was moving around. There were times that he was
even on the first scripted drive, they were playing physical, but Diggs had to pull his jersey twice just to get. I believe he had 2 PI calls against him against Jefferson, and it's like, okay, dude, you can't. It's not the quarterback who didn't target him the entire game. Maybe that's why he didn't catch the ball because he didn't have the opportunity. But that's fine. I'm not worried about what PFF posts on their social media. This is a good spicy take here.
What you should worry about is the image that portrays for Justin Jefferson, because we've already had problems with receivers not getting looks, not getting targets, not getting respect, and feeling like they don't fit in Minnesota. And honestly, after this game, if I'm Justin Jefferson, I'm going home and I'm thinking, am I doing things right? And that kind of questioning going in your head, I wouldn't blame him soon if he starts getting really frustrated.
He's your number one receiver, too. I love Thielen. He's a touchdown machine, but Justin Jefferson is your breakaway threat every time. So maybe use him. I don't know. It's crazy that you have all these pieces and you can't figure out at least one way to score more than one touchdown. That's fucking wild. Here's a great one from Marcus. I'm going to put this up here again. Spielman first round busts recently. Now, I'm going to stop you on the Cordero Patterson one because that's put some respect on his name. Super Bowl champion, Cordero Patterson. And right now,
All Pro Bowl.
He's an elite kick returner, but right now he has more touchdowns than like a lot of the wide receivers in the league, not named Cooper Kupp. So the
Vikings still just have 2 rushing touchdowns on the year? I believe so.
They didn't get one last night.
Dalvin Cook, Alexander Madison, a beefy offensive line, and they can't run the ball to pick up short yardage. They can't do it.
I'll leave Cordero Patterson as a if question mark because I'm not going to say he's a boom pick, but I don't think he's a complete bust because he's still in the league. Mike Hughes did not pan out like we wanted. Laquan Treadwell, absolute bust. Garrett Bradbury, not trending well, but he's still starting. Trey Waynes, I'm going to call that a wash. He's a good player. Yeah, I'm going to call your take.
Yeah, I'm not going to call Waynes.
He's a good player.
Bust.
Jeff Gladney was an absolute bust. Christian Ponder, bust.
But there are players on here that were injury based and they weren't just bad talent. I can't blame scouting for like Matt Khalil or Mike Hughes with his neck. I mean, those are the players that you kind of got to be a little bit more lenient with. But then when you look at Christian Ponder, Laquan Treadwell,
it never should have drafted Ponder in the first round. I can't take that. Khalil played great his rookie year. I just don't like him because his attitude got shitty at the end. That was kind of not cool.
He had talent. He was a great left tackle for that first year until his knees went bad. But yeah, the Minnesota always has had this problem with drafting players in the first round unless they fall directly in his lap.
Oof, there's another injury. That was a bad one too.
Sharif Floyd was another one that once he got hurt, I mean, it was just downhill. And, of course, the major knock on him coming into the draft was, he's got short arms, but he should be a top 10 pick. And when you keep hearing that and then he starts falling and falling, Minnesota calls his name, you're like, all right, they got a really good value. But, again, I mean, these banged-up players, I see the potential in why they drafted some of them, but other ones just baffle me.
Tough loss. We're close to wrapping the show up. Tough loss. We didn't hand out any donkeys. You can pick out whatever you want. I'm giving it to the coaching staff for preparing after a bye week for a backup quarterback. The end. Xavier Woods had a good game. Adam Thielen had a good game.
Yeah,
not bad. They are at Baltimore at a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff this coming Sunday. Not looking forward to watching that, but I will be watching.
I will watch too, sadly. My expectations for this team coming out of after this game, my expectations are going to be much, much lower. I know that I try to be an optimistic person, but I try to match that optimism with realism.
Yep.
And I did think this team was good. I had a lot of talent, and I thought they were trying to figure things out. And now that we are 8 weeks into the season, I see that this team probably isn't going anywhere.
They are who we thought they were.
I thought they were better than this.
Oh, I'm just thinking about that old quote. It's funny. Team gets my donkey. That's also funny too. Yeah. Here's the thing to what Adam just said to amplify that is I'm not worried about them winning this game Sunday. I don't have any faith, 0% faith that they're going to win the game. Do they have a probability mathematically? Absolutely. They'll be probably a 6-point dog or whatever for this game, I'm assuming. Something like that.
Should be.
But
probably 5.5 is what I'm guessing.
somewhere around there. That'd be the betting line. But faith, I have 0% chance of faith that they're going to win this game based on the quarterback alone, and the offense is really bad on our side. But little things you can look for now that we're entering this part of therapy. Can they score more than one touchdown that isn't in the first scripted drive?
Yeah.
If that happens, I'll be happy to see them trend in that direction.
Well, let's finish on a positive note because at this game at US Bank Stadium at halftime, Steve Hutchinson got his Hall of Fame ring, and that was well-deserved and really cool.
Got to let Adam take that over. Anytime the linemen get love, we see him get giddy. And when he's happy, we're happy.
Oh, yeah. Joe Berger will go in next. Just wait.
We're waiting patiently.
But yeah, this game, as much as I want to say that I enjoyed watching this game because I'm a Vikings fan, I love seeing the Vikings on the field playing football, I did not have a good time watching this football game.
I was all right in the first half. The second half, I was not happy.
No, and the crowd booing and the stadium being filled with Cowboys fans in a lot of places. There wasn't a lot of rowdiness on third down. You can tell the fan excitement around this team is at, I won't say an all-time low, because I've seen worse. I have seen worse as a Vikings fan. Because at one point, this team didn't even have the talent to be good. We just expected terribleness.
That's a good point.
So now we at least have, okay, maybe they can do something. But that's not enough for me to think that this team has any chance of being a playoff team going forward. And I don't know what that means for the coaching staff. I don't know what it means for a lot of the veterans on this team. But it makes me sad inside.
Yeah, we'll see. I think they need to do a complete reboot, and as far as their game plan preparation, Zimmer's got to hold himself accountable and keep fighting, I guess. Just keep on doing what you do. You know, you've lost some very close games because you were trying very hard. The execution maybe went left or right, or the coaching was a little but we'll see. There's still 10 games left to be played, and we will absolutely cover every one of them. And I'm very happy that all of you joined us today. There was a
Thomas
lot
has
of
a great question for you.
What was the last dominant win you remember for the Vikings? The 13-3 season when we almost shut the Bengals out. I mean, I think it's pretty dominant if you ask me. That's the first one that comes to mind. Is
my brain is so sad right now that I can't even think of a Vikings win. My brain's that sad.
Yeah, if Teddy hadn't came in, which was a heartwarming moment, but if Teddy hadn't came in, there would have been an actual shutout that the Vikings would have played. So,
and of course, it's another game the Vikings lose by one score, which gives enough credit to Mike Zimmer can go and when he has to eventually plead for his job, he can be like, look, we were in all these games.
You know, that's a solid point. It is a solid point. Hey, Peterson was out. Hey, we lost to Neil Hunter, and I'm still holding teams to 20 points. Yeah. Congratulations, defensive coordinator. You're hired. It is what it is. I hate saying it, too. I love Zim. I love that whole attitude and aura he has, but I think the time is coming. I think my buddy David up here. Where's he at here?
I don't think it's time to bust out my In Zim I Trust shirt anymore.
Yeah, we'll save that for a rainy day down the road.
Well, on that note, I do want to thank everyone for joining us in the chat because it's so good to have you guys in here. Even after a game like that, you guys come in here and talk with us, and we greatly appreciate that. I'm glad we can all come together and talk football and keep it civil and just kind of, it brightens my day to see Vikings fans coming in here and hanging out. So thank you so much. For those of you who watch or listen later on YouTube or wherever you listen to podcasts, thank you so much. For those of you who check out my work over on the Viking Age or on Dead Walking, thank you so much. I really enjoy paying the bills and buying the kitty food and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So if you are hungry for some more Vikings news and are maybe feeling a little too good or something, you can go check out my 5 takeaways from this game, and I'm sure those will depress you again and set you back into line. If you're watching this on Twitch, guess what? You can watch me on Twitch. I do movie reviews over there as well as these Purple People podcasts every week. I'm just waiting on Mr. Smith to pick a movie, and we will do another movie review very, very soon.
I don't want to watch that one that you just watched.
What?
I don't want to watch the one that you just watched.
You don't want to watch Till Death?
No. Thank you for jumping on that grenade for the both of us. I will not be watching that horrible movie.
It was really bad. Really, really bad.
When you immediately came in the chat and said, hey, this movie sucks, I was like, well, that's enough for me.
It was really, really bad. Really bad. A lot of plot holes, a lot of things that didn't make sense. And honestly, I don't believe that a lot of this movie made it past the screenwriting phase because it's unbelievable. But yeah, we do movie reviews over there. Over on Twitter, I'll BS you about almost anything. Talk to me about Vikings football, Walking Dead, pro wrestling.
Cats. Talk to him about cats.
Big Brother, cats. I mean, I got a lot of interests if you are into chatting. If you want to see the cats, they're over on Instagram. It's the MN Viking Zombie. It's the same account everywhere that you go. We've even got some cat videos over on TikTok now because apparently I TikTok. I don't know. But yeah, you can check that out too. It's all right, I guess. Mr. Smith does some TikToking, I think, too.
Everything you want in Kyle Smith land is at North Carolina. NC Dog Dude. Finally back here in my hometown. Finally feeling some peace to settle down. I don't know. I rant about some things. I try to stay off that side of it in Instagram, but it's a lot of fun stuff, mostly music and dogs. And you'll see my kid's son
Thomas Pierce is recommending Freaky. Have you seen Freaky?
I have not. I didn't want to see that, but if
it's fun.
Thomas, while we got you live on the show, I'm going to bully you into a corner. I need you to watch a movie review from Adam and I, and if you promise that you'll watch and interact, we'll do that movie.
Oh.
I like Vince Vaughn. I just thought the plot of this movie was fucking awful. I was like, oh, cool. And what is that, Jamie Lee Curtis? And
it's Freaky Friday.
Yeah, I was like, cool. It's the same movie again. But if it's got a horror twist, I'll watch it. I love Vince Vaughn, so I'll give it a shot.
There's some fun kills and stuff like that in it, too. So I think it's worth watching if you're into a sillier horror movie. If you want something more serious, it's not great, but...
Thomas, you have to come on and you have to interact with us there. We'll find a time, or at least share it. I'm bullying you into doing this, so we'll do that. There you go. See, this is what happens when you have people that tune in. You get what you ask for. I'll go watch that maybe tonight. Get on that. I have a little bit of time.
Oh yeah, why not? But tonight we got some football going on as well. We got the Kansas City Chiefs playing against the New York Giants. Let's get a final shout out on that one. Neither of us are picking the Giants, right? The NFC East is terrible.
They don't
outside of Dallas.
They don't have a chance. This is the perfect setup to get momentum built back for Kansas City, who greatly needs it. Let's be real. While I filibuster, I'm going to look here on the score sheet. I'm going to make sure tonight. Yeah, they're at the Chiefs. The Chiefs are 3-4, and they're 10.5-point favorites in this game.
Oh, we got to talk about one other thing before we go.
Okay.
We got to talk about that Survival League. Because, boy, those Bengals, they hurt a lot of us.
I'm glad I didn't pick them.
A lot of us. I believe 8 of us picked the Bengals, and we had 1, 2, 3, 4 eliminations so far based on the Bengals, which is very, very sad. Right now, as it stands, we only have 15 active players left. 4 with no strikes. 4 of you are still trucking. 4 have 1 strike, and the other 7 players are all on the verge of elimination. And I'm one of them because I took those Bengals.
You have 2 strikes now?
I do.
Adam and I are going into week 9 tied with the same thing. This is much better than last year. I mean, much better. I'm still pissed that I didn't pick one in week 2. The Titans really screwed me in week 4, losing to the Jets. I don't appreciate that at all.
We do still have 3 people that picked KC. So if they somehow end up losing to the Giants, then I don't know. God bless their souls.
But
it is snowing quite hard here. Today's the first real snow of the year for me up here in Upper Michigan. It's supposed to snow for the next couple days. And then we're supposed to have nice weather. And I'm hoping that Minneapolis can be kind of nice because I'm taking a trip down to the Twin Cities. Not this weekend coming, but the one after. and I'm going to watch that AEW pay-per-view and go visit some family. So that should be nice times.
I want to take I want to steal the last part of the show. Two things to talk about. Number one, hook Kyle West up here. He's been killing it with his photography game. Follow him on Twitter and Instagram at Vaguely Square.
Oh, he just had a photo absolutely blow up over on Twitter.
Yeah, and it was funny because he's like, I was on my way to do a shoot and just took a random picture. And I'm quoting him here. He's on his way to a shoot, took a random photo of his path that he walks on. He says every day, and it hit the 1,000 mark pretty fast on Twitter. So he's doing very well there. You can buy Purple People podcast merch or other photography that he does there on any prints. You can put them on items too. We've talked about this at the end of every show. Hook them up there at Redbubble/people/Phantasm Digital. I wanted to get this out there. If I can remember what I was going to say, because I'm blanking real quick. That early onset dementia really jumps in when you don't need it to.
Are you going to talk about how me and Kyle West were trying to figure out what NC meant and NC Dog Dude?
Yeah, that's the funniest. That's probably one of the funniest things I've read from you guys in a while. Yeah, that was really cool.
That was a fun conversation.
Oh, here we go. I'm remembering now. So it's not official yet, but I'm willing to part ways because I haven't invested a lot in it. I will probably not be able to make US Bank this year in week 18. I think my job is going to mandate me to do a certification. That's an annual thing I cannot miss. And I think it falls right on that week 18 last game against the Bears. So if you want 2 tickets to the Bears game for the 6 of you guys listening, I'll hook you up with a better price. Shoot me a message. All right. They're decent seats. Yeah, I can't really give too many details because I don't truly know. I bought them a couple months ago. But the word on the street today is I might be preoccupied with work that I cannot miss. So, hey, I'm going to throw it out there. And once it's official, I'll put it up on the podcast page on Facebook. But if you have anybody that wants to hit me up now, just shoot me a message right here. And, yeah, we'll talk about it. And you can give me a decent offer, and I'll probably take it.
Thanks. All right. Thanks again to everyone for joining us in the chat. We'll be back next week, win or loss. And boy, that snow is coming down, so it's going to be something. But on behalf of Kyle Smith and I, thanks again. Stay classy, Minnesota.